When the weather warms up, so does the real estate market. Sounds obvious, right? It's true. Spring typically means more home sales. But how will the current interest rates affect people's decisions? What about inventory? Is it high or low? And does that benefit the buyer or the seller? And how do those factors take into account a certain price point or area of the triad? Now it's not so obvious, is it? That's why you should turn to the Ginther Group to make sense of it all. You need someone you can rely on to assess your situation, read the data and trends, and point you in the right direction. Interest rates, inventory, even new construction. There are so many factors that impact our local market. And you should get your information from the folks right here in our backyard. Contact Blake Ginther and the Ginther Group today, 336-283-8689, or visit theginthergroup.com. Buying, selling, investing, or just learning, whatever you need, start now. And like me, you can become a Ginther Group client for life.
This is the Triad Podcast Network.
Hi, welcome to the Downtown Winston-Salem Podcast. This is Jason Thiel with the Downtown Winston-Salem Partnership, and today we have Crystal Stowe from Washington Perk and Provisions. So, Crystal, welcome.
Thank you so much, Jason, for having me. And you did right. It's Washington Perk and Provision, which is the name originally created from the previous owners, and original location was in the Washington Park neighborhood, which was named Washington Park because, of course, George Washington slept in the neighborhood, right? So that was the original location, and when they opened the second store downtown, they decided to keep the name. And so when I took it over, it's one of the things that I wanted to keep was the name and the heritage that she brought with it.
Crystal, how long have you been the owner now?
In August, it'll be 4 years.
4 years?
Yeah, it's flown by.
That is really phenomenal. Crystal, I know that the business was there for how many years before you purchased it?
It opened downtown in 2013.
Yep, I remember when that happened. So you're at 11 years now?
Yeah.
Plus 14 or 12?
15, 12 years, yeah.
Yeah. Well, how about that? That is really remarkable. And I think most people, if they don't know, it's right at the northwest corner of 4th and Cherry.
Yes, directly across from Jimmy John's on one corner and Camino and Oak Calcutta on the other. Wonderful neighbors. Well, and next to Aperture.
Right next to Aperture. It's in the same building, the Chatham Building.
Yes,
which
correct.
Most people don't know it's the Chatham Building, but it's the Chatham Building.
It's an awesome building. There's also 23 apartments for rent above us now in the Chatham Building, but I think originally it was a jewelry store and a clothing store for men. Fam Brownlee used to tell me stories about him becoming a man, and he realized that when he had to go from the boys department in the basement of the store to the men's department upstairs.
How about that? Well, Montaldo's was there in the store, and I used to visit when it was Walter Robbs, Callahan and Pierce, their architectural firm, and we had another one of our board members, and our office was located on the second floor for more than 10 years, and the thing that's really nice about the residences, the buildings, is it's directly connected to the parking lot from a back door in the building.
I know. A lot of people don't know that you can walk directly from that parking garage on Cherry into the Chatham Building.
And you can even go further than that. If you really don't want to get hit by rain, you can walk if you can get into the Embassy Suites or the Marriott, if the doors aren't locked, you can walk through their lobby to the underground tunnel all the way to the Benton Convention Center, and then from the Benton Convention Center, you can walk across the Sky Bridge all the way to the parking deck, and then walk through the parking deck all the way through the Traders Row building on the Trade Street.
Oh my gosh. We're going to have to do that together because I've never done that. You're making me feel like it's Minnesota here.
I've done that many times. You walk the whole way through from 4th Street to Trade Street without getting wet.
I want to do that someday. You'll have to show me the path.
It is up and down and all around, but you can do it, and it's not that bad. And it particularly when it's really cold, I've done it too. So that's 2 parking decks that you can walk to from my store. You certainly can. And tell us about yourself, Crystal. Well, I want to dig into Washington Perk and Provisions and all the different things and all the enjoyment and fun of being a business owner, and I mean that not sarcastically. I know there's a ton of great customers that you have, and you love them, and I can't wait to hear about them. But let's hear a little bit about you and what you would be willing to share about your history of maybe where you're from and
Sure.
where you went to school and things like
Yeah,
that.
I grew up in Martinsville, Virginia, and so, very humble beginnings. My dad was a sheriff's deputy there, and my mom was a manager of a Kroger deli, and so graduated Martinsville High School, and then, community college after that, because really didn't have money to go to a 4-year school, and then I earned my bachelor's degree from Averett University in Danville. And right after that, shortly after that, I came to work for Haynes Company here in Winston-Salem. Great company to work for. I was with them for 9 years. Graciously, they paid for my MBA, so I was able to earn my MBA from Gardner-Webb University while I was working for Haynes in marketing. I was in the intimate division, so 20-some years old, having a lot of fun, traveling to Midtown Manhattan to our design center, and working with customers like Walmart and Target. It was a really great experience for me at Haynes. And
Which division was that?
I worked in innerwear.
Awesome.
Yep. And so, I lived in Winston at that time, and I was just young, 20, single, having a great time. I used to go to the Rubber Soul and hear music. All these bands were traveling through here. It was a really lively time for Winston-Salem in 2005, 2006, 2007.
I remember those years. That's when I first came here 20 years ago.
Yeah. Oh my God, it has been 20 years, hasn't it?
It's hard to believe.
And I don't think at the time, I don't recall coming downtown much. We'd hit the Silver Moon occasionally on Trade Street and go to the galleries. You did your Thursday night music series, Friday night, Saturday night. It was a really fun time. But for me, my opportunity kind of ran out after earning my MBA. I knew that if I needed to earn more money, and for me, unfortunately, that meant having to leave the company that I was with in Winston-Salem. So I took the opportunity to move to Grand Rapids, Michigan for 9 years. And
great city too.
It is a phenomenal city.
Yeah.
It's really vibrant. The average age is 31 years old. There's a lot of investment in their downtown. And it's an art city too.
Yeah.
So it was a really fun place to live. I worked for Meijer, who is a Midwest grocer. We had 265 stores in 5 states. And I started off in apparel marketing there and ended up leading frozen food, produce, and dairy marketing.
Wow.
So it was really about creating really great in-store experiences with my big partners to do things like create end cap programs and digital campaigns. And we once did a 27-minute live Facebook with a character, which is insanely long, but we were kind of at the cusp of doing weird things in social media at the time. It was fun. It was a really good time. And I probably would still be with them if it had not been for COVID and the opportunity to come back. Coming out of COVID to Winston-Salem, I was working here remotely for Meijer, and John and Jane Johnston reached out to me, who were the owners of the Washington Perk, and said, we're ready to do other things, and we think you're the person that should take this and go run with it.
How about that? I had no idea, and I'm glad that we have an opportunity to share your story. Meijer's a big grocery chain, right?
It is a phenomenal, huge grocery chain. Sam Walton wanted to buy it for 50 years, basically. It was still privately owned and held in the Meijer family currently. Hank Meijer runs it. He runs it day to day. I would see him in the cafeteria and, hey, Crystal, how are you? And he was that way with everyone. They actually have private planes and encourage even their store level associates to fly on their private planes as a part of the Meijer family.
How about that? Are they headquartered there in Grand Rapids?
They are, yeah.
I see.
Yeah, they are. Fred Meyer's written, there's several books about Fred Meijer and how he came to be who he was as a leader in the grocery industry. And the one thing that he said that resonated with me was, without a customer, we cease to exist. And there's so many businesses that don't remember that without a customer, you really have nothing.
Well, the grocery question comes up all the time for me as a advocate for downtown. I do a lot of public speaking at various groups, and one of the things that I'll share with you, and I'll give you the short version of my answer to this question, because What I say is that we definitely want to have a larger grocery store in town, but what I always tell people is that they need to support the businesses that we have in our downtown, and that would start with Washington Perk. And there's nothing more that would make, if you have a choice in buying something, walk over there and buy it. You know, that's going to be the best way to support the idea of a grocery store.
Well, I think it is. And, you know, 100,000 square foot grocery store downtown is going to require a lot more urban density than what we have.
Right.
It is also going to require a little bit of change in mindset of about how people shop. In the South, people are very car reliant, and they get in their car and they're used to going to the grocery store or stopping at a grocery store on their way home from work before they go home to make dinner. And so we really do have to think a little bit differently in an urban or more concentrated environment about how we shop. You're not going to shop for a month at a time if you live downtown. For one, it's going to be a pain in the butt to get it from the parking deck to your apartment. So for me, the model that I think will be most successful downtown is the model where you have a couple service points, like a coffee shop in the front, a deli counter in the back. The model that competes on that quick in and out trip. So, oh man, I'm out of sugar and I know that I'm baking tonight. I got to stop and get powdered sugar. Or I need a box of beer or wine before I go home tonight.
Right.
Or I have everything I need in my recipe except a red bell pepper. So that is the trip that I hope to win in downtown while still supporting our residents in a way that's special and friendly. And what's your special order? Let me get that for you next week.
Right.
I just had a customer request. She says, I can get everything I need here except Follow Your Heart mayonnaise. Now, I know that I have to buy 6 units of Follow Your Heart mayonnaise that's going to take up refrigerated shelf space in my fridge. But by having that mayonnaise, I'm winning her whole trip. You know, she doesn't have to now get in her car and drive to Whole Foods to get it. She knows that I ordered it for her. And I might not sell all 6 units, but therein lies my partnership with Crisis Control Ministries and the food bank, right? They're a wonderful partner and a wonderful resource for me when I have those excess items that are short dated or 2 to 3 days out of date. They really help me there, and I'm also giving to a needy part of the community by doing it.
It's a fascinating, thank you. And I have to say, when I talk to people about living downtown, there's a number of things that they'll ask me, like, and I'll explain to them is that just because it doesn't work for you doesn't mean that it doesn't work for a niche group of people that want to live downtown. And so if you dismiss it, you're dismissing it for you alone, but don't dismiss it for the entire population of the city.
Well, I ask people and I challenge people, think about downtown without us.
Yeah.
How many of your people that are coming to your apartment building that want to maybe look at an apartment to rent and maybe thinking about that transition of moving from suburbs or even Ardmore into downtown, how many of those people are thinking, well, where am I going to get milk if I need it? I'm going to have to get in my car. I am that solution. And so while we may not be the end all of everything, think about it if we weren't here. What kind of void we would have downtown.
Well, I think even like with the idea of having like a little scooter or something like that where you can kind of take that quick trip without having to worry about parking your car or getting out, and then you can scoot back. There's a lot of people that are embracing that lifestyle, and it's really what drives the downtown environment. We have people that really enjoy living downtown that probably eat out more often, more meals than they eat at home.
Yeah. For sure. And so you'll find in my store, you know, instead of a family size basmati rice, it's going to be not a 2-pound bag, it's going to be a 1-pound bag because our household size is so much smaller here.
Mm-hmm. I think from the thing that just amazes me is since you've taken over the ownership 4 years ago, there's been a real broadening of product selection and availability of product selection and variety. You've really taken it to the next level. Like the store is really phenomenal.
Well, Jason, I live downtown.
Yeah.
I mean, before I bought it, I was buying spinach and bread and eggs from Jane, but, you know, I was missing things like a red pepper or powdered sugar. I mean, my baking aisle consists of limited choice, but enough choice for you to do something, right? So powdered sugar, brown sugar, yellow cake mix, chocolate cake mix, there's a brownie mix. And in all of those, there's also a gluten-free variety. So yes, thank you for recognizing that. It's really fun to do. I go to a grocery show in February every year, and where I pick up new items. It also allows me to build margin for myself because it's a big negotiating time. But it's really cool to go down and meet with the people that are making these products and bringing innovation in. Like, I'm rambling now a little bit, I think, but
no, it's great.
I just brought in this vegan bacon called My Bacon, and it's made from the mycelium of the mushroom, which is the part that grows underground, and it's really densely nutritious, and it's vegan, and tastes phenomenal.
Really?
Yes.
I can't wait to try that.
I know. So it's those kinds of new things. It's a real fun part of my job is to go out and look at new items and innovation.
I think that another thing that is very different than your normal suburban or other big retail. It may have been different with Meijer, and it's not the case. Like, a lot of people do know some of the people they'll go to with their large mainline shopping center. But when you walk in the store, you have employees that know your customers.
Yeah.
And you also get a chance to have like conventioneers come in.
Absolutely.
Like, conventioneers really light up when they see this. It makes a difference in their trip to Winston-Salem. Like, the fact that Washington Perk is there improves their stay in the city.
Yeah.
You see that a lot, right?
I think that's true. And, we're fortunate enough, like, this week there's the GIS convention in town. Mm-hmm. So there's people and vendors from all city and county represented from North Carolina here. And I've seen them 2 years now, and so you've learned those faces. You actually recognize some convention guests, and it's a really fun part. It kind of is, all of that combined is where we really established what our mission statement was, and I love it, and I'm going to tell you what it is.
Oh, good.
It's to humbly serve our downtown neighbors and guests. If we do that and achieve that successfully, we're going to be a successful business.
Springtime brings so many special occasions, so why not spring into Dewey's for all your celebration needs? From custom, unique cakes to balloons and party tableware to the perfect gift, Dewey's is your one-stop shop in the Triad. Even if you don't have a big event on the horizon, it's always a great day to stop by your local Dewey's Bakery, especially on Mondays for a free Cake Square Day. No purchase necessary and available all year round at any of their Triad area locations in Winston-Salem at Thruway Shopping Center and Renolda Manor, and in Greensboro at the Friendly Shopping Center. Need to place that order now? Visit local.deweys.com, and as a listener of the Triad Podcast Network, you'll receive 25% off by using the code PODCAST. Our friends at Dewey's are always finding great ways to give back to our local community, providing millions of dollars to nonprofits. Your organization can also partner with Dewey's to raise money. Just email cake@deweys.com to learn more. Don't miss the chance to make your event even more special with an order at local.deweys.com. Use the promo code PODCAST for 25% off. Dewey's. Celebrate every day.
I think so, too. I think that it is a friendly place, and the things that I've witnessed, because our office was upstairs, I spent a lot of time there. I've had coffee meetings there. I've had, you name it. I just think that for most people, when they walk in the store, what are some of the fun things that you've heard from people, and some of the things that you think are memorable from your guests that you'd like to share?
I went last night to play music bingo, and I sat down next to a gentleman, and we got to talking. He was here for the convention, and he had been in my store today, earlier in the day. And he says, "Oh, that's your place?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's my spot." And he says, "I love that little place." He says, "It's so not white and khaki."
Yeah.
He says, "It's colorful, and I don't mean this in a bad way. It reminds me so much of the 90s in all the good ways." And I like to say that we like to keep Winston weird. We're part of that weirdness element that lives in Winston and makes Winston so special. And then, the customers that come in and they tell me about the really awesome sandwich they had the day before, but then they go on for 5 minutes and talk to me about how smiley and what a great conversation they had with Rebecca, who was working at the deli counter that day. And the conversation is about Rebecca. It's not about the sandwich. It's the appreciation of walking into a city and feeling like there's, a community.
Now, losing CVS was a loss for downtown, but you responded. And tell us a little bit about that experience and how you saw that closure and how you relationally kind of changed your business a little bit.
You know, as a mom, my daughter's 14 now, so and it's not like she's in diapers or anything. But as a mom who we travel quite frequently, I thought about me. What if I was going to a convention in a town, and what are the things that I might need that CVS had, but now they're not there? So first aid, diapers, sleep aids, OTC medicines, notebooks, pens, cleaning products. Those are the items where I thought, that's where I'm going to focus my energy, right? Cosmetics would be wonderful, but it's so SKU intensive. I'm not going to invest in the inventory there to make that dollar back. So I built an 8-foot peg wall behind the register with OTC meds, a little higher end facial products for men and women. It's not deep, but it's like 4 SKUs to choose from. I added diapers. I added screwdrivers. I added cleaning products, at pet food and litter.
And people need screwdrivers.
People do. I mean, think about if you move into an apartment downtown. Do you want to get in your car and drive to Lowe's or Home Depot?
No.
I think we could actually benefit from a small Ace downtown, personally.
You said Ace?
Ace,
yes.
Ace Hardware. Like the really service model Ace Hardwares.
Yeah, I mean, they've really hit a stride. I mean, they really have made a big comeback as a corporation.
Yeah, we could really, I'd love one of those downtown. I keep, Mr. Benbow Beck locksmith, that building. It not only reminds me of an old Irish pub in Dingle, but it's such a nice building, and it'd be so cool for that to be like a locksmith and a hardware store. In
time, you think about things that have changed, and the one thing I know that the future is change in the way that people work in their offices, the way that people live, the way that they eat, the way that they get things delivered to their house. Things change, everything changes, and we're in a rapid period of change. But the one thing that doesn't change is that the things that you sell, all the things that you sell, very few of those things are going to really be available, that people that live downtown, have traveled to downtown for business or pleasure, you're right there in the middle of it. I think it's forever. I don't think the way that you run a business is going to change. They're not going to order a sandwich through the mail.
No. And, you're always going to have that foot traffic of exploration in a city center, as big a city as we are, right?
Yep.
But my location is in the middle of Embassy Suites, Marriott. If you're staying at either of those 2 hotels and you turn either left or right out of the door, depending on which side of the street you're on, I'm the first place that you're going to hit. And so for me and our business, it's always been, since the beginning, critical that we are a friendly, kind place, because we are representing this city.
Well, I think one of the things I'd really like to compliment you on, it's something that is very noticeable, but you have a beautiful storefront presentation for your business.
Thank you.
You recently did a outdoor dining area that is just extremely well done. Tables and dining and a stanchion.
Thank you.
And fencing, and it's really high quality.
Thank you.
All of the businesses, we have great high quality businesses downtown, and the one that you did is just phenomenal.
Well, I would encourage any of the downtown businesses to apply through your partnership for those SLIM grants for improvement, because I was a recipient of that, and I spent over the grant amount. I mean, you guys match it up to a certain amount, and I spent a little more than that, but I'm really hoping to reap the benefits of that this summer.
I'm almost certain that you will. I mean, it's going to be something, because on a really hot day, that block is shaded.
It's so nice.
It is, and the breeze comes through. Yeah. It's very nice.
It's great for people watching. I've thought too about, now that my seating is done and, Camino's across the street and Aperture's got a new executive director, maybe it's time to bring back some Second Sundays fun, like John and Jane used to do that.
Well, I would be happy. We worked on that as a kind of a silent partner, and I'd be certainly willing to do that. But also, we thought about 3rd Street with Callidium.
Yeah.
We're going to do a new event that we just kicked off in our newsletter yesterday called 3rd Street Soundwaves.
I saw that.
Yeah, so it's a Tom Petty cover band that I saw at the Ramcat. That they're really good. And so if you love Tom Petty, I'm going to start highlighting that they're Tom Petty, because everybody loves Tom Petty, and they're really good as a tribute band.
Yeah.
And so it'll be that May 2nd, and then West End Mambo is going to come on June 6th. But, the cycling folks are going to have their event on that Friday night. They're going to have the race on 4th Street, but instead of doing the concert on Cherry Street, because it's almost impossible to close Cherry and Marshall with the one-way pair of traffic feeding the interchange, they're going to use 3rd Street as their music venue location.
Okay.
And then the Callidium's going to have some more events down there as well. So you got parks on both sides of the street too. So, and there's no curb cuts on that block between Town Run Lane and Liberty. So I think people are going to be surprised this summer. They're going to see a lot more events in the core of downtown right there.
I think that's exciting.
It is exciting, and it really just took for both of those parks to get done and the Callidium to get finished. But we're partnering and collaborating with the Callidium that night, so you can go in and get a reduced rate admission to the museum for $5 and see a free concert from 6 to 9.
That's
First Friday. It'll be fun.
That's one thing about our downtown business community is, and generally speaking, we seem to all have the attitude that a rising tide is good for all, and so we lean into each other and help support each other, and it's really a great place to own a business. And I live downtown too, so I'm also a downtown resident.
You walk a lot on the streets of downtown, and it's
all the time.
And it's been a weird time going through COVID, and I don't need to tell you that everybody's had their own experience through the past 5 years, but throughout it all, Washington Perk and your ownership for the last 4 years, you've really just been a stalwart, just a bulkhead for downtown, and I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. I mean, and thank all of my customers. Thank you for checking me out again. Thank you for being patient and believing in us. I feel the past 2 years have been gangbusters for us. On average, a grocery store can expect to grow 2% a year over year. Our first year, last 2 years ago, we grew 10.8%. And then we matched that the next year. So,
you know what it is? It's a lot of it has to do with your personality and the obvious effort that you put into your store. And I really believe that downtown businesses and businesses that aren't corporate driven and managed like a large, but your relationship with your customers as individual as the owner and your employees, their relationship with the people that walk through the door is paramount.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is really, and it's understandable because it's a reaction to the world that is very impersonal, yet we're connected in so many ways, but those connections are very impersonal. Social media is very impersonal. Yeah. In a lot of ways, I know you can break through some of those impersonal experiences on social media, and they're very touching moments on social media. It can be very powerful, but seeing someone in person, like in the age of the Zoom meeting, seeing face to face is important.
Yeah, it is. And we serve a total cross-section of downtown on a daily basis. And getting to know different people, whether they work at the VA office. A lot of people don't even know that we have VA workers in our federal building downtown, right? We have an IRS office downtown.
Well, it's interesting, and I'll say this, and I haven't talked about this too much publicly because, the federal employees were, through executive order, sent back to work, but they officially show up
May 4th.
Yep, and it's about 700 employees downtown.
Yes, I know, and it's an incredible opportunity as a business owner downtown. And Haynes has been downtown now, a month and a half, 2 months?
And they're in the office 3 days a week, right?
Yeah, Monday, Tuesdays, Thursdays, which I got to know because, you see them for lunch.
Yeah, I do as well. And, I've visited them and talked to all their employees, and, it's just something that, I kind of give that inside information to anyone that'll ask, but it's kind of like...
And for us, those 600 workers, 600, 700 workers that are coming back to the federal building in May, that presents an opportunity for us because some of those workers have never even lived in Winston-Salem and have to come back to this office. So it's an incredible opportunity for Winston-Salem businesses downtown to support that transition for those federal workers. And another time just to let them know who we are and what we can do to support them.
It's time to get serious about your financial future. It's never too early, but it could be too late to get started. And that's oftentimes the hardest part, getting started. How much do I save? Where do I invest? Do I save for college or retirement? How much for each? And who do I talk to about it all? Okay, we'll keep things simple for now and help you answer the last one. We recommend you begin with a local financial advisor, and that's Jennifer Johnson of Three Magnolias Financial Advisors. She'll sit down with you for a complimentary introductory consultation and go over all of your questions. Get started on the path to achieving your financial goals. Visit 3magnoliasfinancialadvisors.com or call 336-701-1600. Get comfortable with your financial future. Three Magnolias Financial Advisors, retirement, financial planning, and investments. Securities offered through Private Client Services, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Three Magnolias Financial Advisors. Three Magnolias Financial Advisors and Private Client Services are not affiliated. Private Client Services is under separate ownership from any other named entity.
One last question before we sign off and say goodbye to you on the podcast. But
well before we do that, I have to mention my partner, John.
Okay.
Because I haven't mentioned him. I told you about me a little bit, and then we kind of went into the store, but I would be forbidden if, never forgiven if I didn't mention my other half. Right. John is my partner. We've been together 17 years. He's a silent partner in the Washington Perk. He has given me so many wonderful ideas. He's not a marketer or a business owner. He's a statistician and a professor. But we can thank him for the Claire special on the menu and the introduction of smoked salmon. He's had so many wonderful ideas, and he is from Ireland. So a little bit of that quick in and out model of our business is loosely based on what you would see in a European spar, right? So it's that farmer's model of a rural convenience store, but downtown.
Well, I want to say thank you, John, for your contribution and your silent contribution to downtown Winston-Salem and supporting the business and supporting the endeavors that has made Washington Perk a beloved business in our downtown.
Yeah, I couldn't do it without his support, and I just wanted to give him the immense shout out that he deserved.
That's great, and I think that's fantastic, and thank you, John. And one last fun question to ask you, but just what are some of the things that, are kind of like you would share with our listeners that you already went through a lot of these things as you were talking about some of the items that you picked up from when CVS closed, but what are some of the other items that people might be surprised that you carry at your store?
I think people would be surprised to look at the depth of fresh produce.
Right.
I'm very fortunate that we have a large Southeast produce distributor a mile down the road in Vernon Produce.
Right.
And I get fresh produce about 3 times a week.
And does that sell?
It does sell. And what we don't sell there, we are utilizing in smart ways in our food service.
Right.
So I also own a second coffee shop in town called Recess,
right.
Which offers grab-and-go sandwiches that we are producing out of the Perk. And a lot of that is some of that extra produce. So if I have red peppers, I'm probably not going to sell 20 pounds of red bell peppers, but we'll use that in intelligent ways in the
And that's near the new county courthouse.
Correct, right. It's a lot of courthouse workers, city workers, and Forsyth government workers that come in.
I can see, because there's not a plethora of options within a 2-block radius of the new county courthouse.
No, and you have a lot of jurors who aren't familiar with downtown or Winston-Salem at all, and so they're serving and they don't want to get in their car and drive somewhere when they may have only an hour to grab something to eat. So
right.
I would say that people would be surprised at the amount of fresh produce that I have and the ability to create a meal out of that, right? So you're going to have a starch, there's going to be a cruciferous option for you, and there's going to be some fruit options. I think people are also going to be surprised that, I have frozen salmon fillets, I have Joyce ground beef, Joyce Farms ground beef, huge people are really surprised of all the gluten-free and vegan options that we have. So it's a great place to come if you're looking for some of that.
You guys have great breakfast options too.
Oh yeah. Actually, the new number one, it used to be the Pat Special Bagel, is now Claire's Special, the smoked salmon on cream cheese,
And
everything.
thanks, John, for that.
And I can thank John for that. But so we have great bagel options all day long too. That's really popular when you have a lot of conventions that run late, is people who want to get breakfast late at night. They can do that with us.
We've been having a good year with conventions, and last year was too. The investment in the convention center has really paid off.
It is. I was trying to describe to someone, I would say roughly 25% of my business is because of the convention center.
Yeah, and that's just for us. It's been a big deal.
Yeah, and if we can continue that, there's so many headwinds coming at my business this year as we look at what's going to happen with tariffs. That's a big top of mind item right away. What's going to happen with some of the nonprofit agencies that surround some of the federal cutbacks? Is that going to have an impact on the convention schedule for the rest of the year? And then the other side of that, we do have those 700 workers that are coming back downtown. So it's like one hand's up, one hand's down, and they're all even. So what do you do?
It's the last 10 years has been ups and downs, like the road closure of Salem Parkway.
Yep.
Then follow that up with the road closure with the pandemic
and the Stevens Center 5-year closure.
And the Stevens Center, and it really is. If it's not one thing, it's another. But they're all things that the road closure. If you drive down Salem Parkway, it's hard to even imagine Business 40 before.
Yeah.
And it was a sad road. It really needed it, and we made the right decision. But it was painful.
Yeah, I took some pictures because it was still under construction at the beginning of COVID, right? Mm-hmm. And I took some pictures from my place of just the dirt there's no asphalt on Salem Parkway, and it's crazy to look at it. I got the perk at a really good time. 2021 is when I purchased it. It's coming out of COVID. The road had opened back up. I am very optimistic about the future of Winston-Salem and downtown, and I can only thank all those thought leaders in our community that continue to support downtown. They could continue to support us by offering us promo codes for parking, but there are some definite upticks coming to Winston-Salem, and we're really excited to be here to support all of that growth and be a part of it.
Well, I have to say thank you for coming onto our podcast. It's really wonderful, and I'm so happy that our listeners get a chance to know more about Crystal Stowe, your hard work at Washington Perk, and more about the business itself.
Thank you so much, Jason, for having me. Winston-Salem and the Downtown Winston-Salem Partnership are just a great organization. I love your cleanup crew. Those guys are amazing.
They are.
Your staff here. Thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit about me.
We all are passionate about downtown, and that's the whole thing, is trying to get people to look at we're like a neighborhood organization on steroids. Things like the Window Wonderland contest and decorations, and
that's so fun. We should do that next year, but you should give us money for supplies.
We're definitely going to do that. And then I think we're going to do some other things. Like we just did a scavenger hunt. That's an app online that we're going to start advertising that a little more broadly starting next week. But we kind of teased that out with social media. But that's something I think we can continue to do. Once we finish one cycle, we can scatter the clues and do it again.
I love that idea. I have a lot of moms that come in with their young children, and they're trying to think about what they're going to do. Maybe that's Caladium that day. Maybe they're going to go to Old Salem. And I told a lady yesterday, I said, if you're going to go to Old Salem today, why don't you just make yourself a little treasure hunt for the kids before you go, like a candle in the window, an American flag. Yeah. I would love the citywide scavenger hunt. I think it's really cool, and I think that that's something that tourists could enjoy all year round with existing Winston-Salem features.
Well, the best thing about the scavenger hunt, too, is if you get them all right, you go into a lottery and 10 people are going to be picked. So, and you get a $100 gift certificate to any business you want. And if they don't offer a gift certificate, we'll reimburse you with the receipts if you want to.
Awesome.
So that's $1,000 of gifts that we're giving away for people. And so if anything, the incentive of just doing it, if you live downtown, you have through the end of like April to do it. So just do a clue every week and you'll get there. They're not hard clues to figure out, folks. But for most of you live that downtown, but some of it you'll learn. There's some little treats in there, but
I off and on, I've lived in Winston-Salem 9 years, and now I'm back for 5, so 14 total. There's so many things that I still haven't done in this town, like the ghost walking tour. I need to do that. It's just unlimited. You just come out and enjoy downtown, people. Don't be afraid to park. Don't be afraid to walk.
Well, the parking, situation for most people is something that, that's one of the built-in conversations along with grocery stores that I have with everybody. And a lot of it is just getting people comfortable with parking in the decks. And a lot of times in the evenings, they're looking at a lot of the negative stories that they get with some of these private parking lots where the private property owners have engaged with the third-party company.
And the $50 tickets.
Yeah, and so, which is why we really try to promote the $2 parking in the decks. And it's free in the evening, so everybody wants to park on the street. But if we can get them into one of the parking decks, if you park near one of the stairwells, you walk right down the stairwell and you're right there on 6th Street.
So when the new parking rules and rates go into effect, are those garages going to stay $2?
That's what I understand.
And free in the evening?
It's not up to me, but yes, that's what I hear.
Yeah, my associates are concerned. We're basically asking them to give up $1.50 an hour of their wage to pay to park now. Yep. Elimination of those 10-hour spots are particularly brutal because you could park for 50 cents for 10 hours currently at 2nd and Marshall and Cherry. So the loss of those, I think, is really on the mind of my staff. And
it is.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to give up $1.50 an hour to park. That's a lot to bite.
It is, and it's something that's on the minds of a lot of the downtown business owners. And some
people can afford it, but service workers generally they already can't afford to live downtown.
Right.
Let's make parking a little easier for them.
And that's a message
we need them.
That we've been sharing with our city council, and I encourage people. The partnership isn't the decision making or policy maker on that. We've shared our opinions. It's something that we encourage you to share. The city's made their decision on how they're going to be moving forward, but
I've been sharing some thoughts with council members.
Yeah, I know that, and you're not alone. And one thing that I will share with listeners is that it will just be daily, not weekend and evening. So if you're on street park, it won't be impacted. It'll still be free. Okay. But daytime, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, rates are going up from 50 cents or 25 cents an hour, depending on what type of street you're on, to $1.50 per hour. And what we've asked them to do is, we do support them getting rid of the coin-operated machines as an organization, but what we've asked them to do is to make intervals to that $1.50. Don't make that jump all at once. Yeah. We've realized that 25 cents is far below our peer cities, but it's not. $1.50 is at the high end. So, getting from point A to B in that rapid a succession, and we were very vocal about that. But the city has built-in cost for the new credit card machines, and what they're trying to do is but they're not thinking about the business owners, their employees, and the customers coming to downtown. And that's really the bottom line.
Right.
I hold out hope because the new system does have the flexibility for rates, because it's not like the meter set and it's a mechanical thing. It's really something that is a software thing that they could be flexible with it. And I'm hoping,
good to know.
I think your comments to the city council are making headway, because I meet with them and they all ask me about it. What are you hearing? What are your thoughts? And I always tell them exactly what I just told you now.
Yeah. And then, my husband has never had a cell phone, refuses to own a smartphone.
Smart man.
And he's not going to be able to make my deliveries for me now because he can't park without an app.
Yeah. Well, I think that's another one of the things that they also could have put some pay stations in various areas, like just a few, and that way people could have bought this thing, and then put them in their window. But
if someone's wandering around without a smartphone, that person's probably willing to walk to a pay station, is my guess.
That's a good point. Anything else, Crystal?
No, I just want to say thank you again, Jason. You know, living downtown, working downtown, and playing downtown, I see my fair share. I hear my fair share of everything. And I'm just really happy to be a part of the positive part of downtown. And thank you to all of our customers and our regulars. We love you, appreciate you, and you're what makes us successful.
Well, guys, get down and see Crystal and her team at Washington Perk and Provisions at the northwest corner of 4th and Cherry, and you won't be sorry. Thank you.
We're open 7 days a week.
Yeah, awesome.
Hey, thanks for listening to this episode on the Triad Podcast Network. Our mission is simple: provide information, advice, and stories about the people and places that make the North Carolina Triad such a great place to be. You can find us by searching Triad Podcast Network on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, pretty much wherever you like to listen. If you like what you heard and want to support the show and those that contribute, we would truly appreciate a rating and review on your favorite podcast app. It helps spread the word along, as do your shares on social media. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Triad Podcast. To get in touch with us, simply email info@triadpodcast.com. Thanks for listening.
This is the Triad Podcast Network.